Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStick XL, and I hope everyone had an amazing holiday weekend with their friends, their families, their loved ones. Hopefully, you got a ton of gaming in. Hopefully, you, like myself, went out and spent a couple of bucks on games that, well, you didn't really need, but you kind of thought that you wanted. So you went out and spent money you probably should have saved, but who cares? It was Black Friday. And I got to tell you, man, Noof Nukem is probably not in the chat yet. Hopefully he will be here, but there's something to buying these games physically that are a third of the price. Everything I got was $20 brand new, but when you thought about trying to get everything digitally, they were double the price, sometimes even triple the price. I was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to get up off that couch and, do a couple more steps on my watch. But I don't mind so much. But listen, folks, we have an incredible show for you. We're going to be talking Halo, and we are going to be going down Speculation Town. Now, the reason why you saw the thumbnail and I started saying, could Microsoft make BioWare better again? The reason I brought that up is because my very good friends over at Xbox Era, both John and Nick, on this week's Xbox Era podcast, were talking about it. And I thought I wanted to elaborate on the conversation because we all know EA. When things don't go right, they start a fire sale or they close. And I'm going to be honest with you. We got some new information that the lead designer of Dragon Age 4 has left the building, folks. And that is extremely concerning because, according to EA, and BioWare, no, everything's in good shape. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. As the building is burning while they're in it, I don't know. I immediately see that GIF with the guy drinking a coffee and everything is okay. I don't know I put it to this way. They've had failure after failure. I don't know what has happened to BioWare. We have seen a lot of big wigs leave there. Maybe that's what it is. But I am going to say that if Dragon Age doesn't hit, I could almost guarantee that EA is going to be like, you know what? We have had enough with this. We've had Anthem. We've had several other games come out, and it's not working out, guys. It's not me, it's you, or it's not you, it's me. You're out. This is where we get into Speculation Town. Obviously, we have a couple of co-mayors here. I think we could potentially have a good conversation. We're also going to be talking about Halo Infinite. And not that it's releasing in just over a week, which we're all excited for. Folks, it is out in the wild. You can potentially go to a mom and pop and grop shop and potentially pick up your copy. It's out in the wild. We've seen people, showing it on, all over their spaces, all over Twitter. Be careful. There are a-holes out in the world that are going to try and ruin it the same way that Last of Us 2 was ruined when that released. So just be careful. But I can't wait to play on December 8th. But that's actually not what we're talking about, folks. There are two big questions that have to be asked, potentially even answered today. And that is, A, does 343 make crossplay optional? I think it's an unbelievably unforced error if they don't. I don't want to play against PC guys for a lot of reasons. The second thing we're going to talk about is the mass cheating that's going on. Now, listen, I have good skills, and I'm getting double-digit kills 4 out of 5 games that I play. I'm quite enjoying it, but it's pretty unfortunate when you hit someone in the face with a rocket launcher and you die and they live. You kind of start to wonder how much of the cheating is actually going on. As a matter of fact, Zemi Games dropped something which I'm going to read when we get to that topic from the community manager that, yes, they are working on some anti-cheat software to beef it up, but I think they got to do better. And granted, it's a beta, and there's a lot going that's great about it, but they have to make sure that cheating isn't one of those things that ruin people's fun with this game. I don't mind dying. I would never cheat to win. I just take the L. I don't care. It's just a game. But let's get into the introductions, and then we'll break down these incredible topics. We'll start first with the cog that keeps this show running each and every week. The one that knows how to make a very good chocolate pie and potentially take over the chat like he did last week. Zemi Games, what's up, brother?
Oh man, well, let's talk about chocolate pie towards the end of the show. That way we can keep the integrity of the chat super high up there,
I
right?
love it. I
And,
love it.
and and we don't have a pie cake takeover again. No, super excited to be on the show today, man. Dude, today is a great day. Obviously, the Xbox Factor podcast, but also the challenges get reset in Halo
Yes.
multiplayer. I already completed all my weekly challenges last week, so I'm looking really forward to the new challenges that are about to come out. Grind out some more ranks in my battle pass. And, if I'm not mistaken, starting tomorrow, we're going to be a week away from the Halo Infinite campaign launch, which is another thing to look forward to. So lots to look forward to, especially today, but then of course, next week as well. Just, super excited to be here. Boom.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you here as always. Someone that missed last week because of work, because obviously real life. F you, Pong Soul, my brother from another. What's going on, dude? How the heck are you?
Been too long, brother. A lot of work. Actually, I should be at work right now, but I could not miss 2 weeks in a row. So I am forcing a home morning, actually. So for right now, but no, I'm so glad to be back on here. And of course, with all my brothers as normal and extra special guest, my brother from another, Steel Rain, got to join us this morning as well. So this is a fantastic Tuesday. A lot of work, but then I had a nice long 4-day weekend, enjoyed Thanksgiving, got a lot of gaming in since I haven't been in a game as much during the week as normal. So that was fantastic as well. But man, it's great to be here. Great to see everybody in chat as always. Thank you all for showing up today on a Tuesday for Xbox Factor podcast. We got a lot to talk about, Boom, a lot of stuff going on. So let's get down to it.
Real quick, Joquan Branch is in the chat. First of all, welcome, brother. He says, this is hilarious. I'm the guy that super chatted the Bioware question on Xbox era and Xbox 2 that started this convo. Holy smokes. Yeah, listen, dude, it's you know what? This is what we do. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of news. I did not know that it was you that did it. Well, first of all, everyone, he's the one that sparked the question and the conversation, and I love it. I think that there is some real meat on this bone. Microsoft is in a buying phase. We do know that. One of the biggest sins, in my personal opinion, when you look back at gaming. Now, I've been gaming since 78, folks, so I've seen a lot of ups and downs. I've seen the crash of video games. But I am going to say I've seen a lot of blunders. And the biggest blunder that could, in fact, be rectified was the fact that Microsoft did not purchase Bioware before EA did. And why would I think that they should have? Well, they released Knights of the Old Republic. They released Jade Empire, which is a freaking phenomenal game. And then right after that, in 2007, which is considered to be the biggest and best of gaming in the history of gaming, they released as an exclusive to Xbox 360, Mass Effect. I mean, those are 3 back-to-back bombs. Like, what? That's the team I want. And I got to be honest with you. If Microsoft, again, old Microsoft, I don't know if they survive. This Microsoft with Greenie and Phil and Matt and Sarah running the show, I really do think that they could be great again. Could we see the end of Bioware if they drop the ball with Dragon Age? Folks, I think so. I honestly think so, but we're going to get into that momentarily. Let's introduce our special guest, Pong's brother from another, the guy that keeps it real and raw and uncut, as always, Steel Rain, my brother. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Beautiful people, good morning, good afternoon, and it is a great time to be back into the Xbox Factor Kingdom, or I like to say Boom's Kingdom. Look, Boom, I just appreciate you hitting me up in the DMs, asking me to be on, man. It's an amazing thing. Also to be here with my fellow brothers, Mav and Ponso. Zemi, what's going on? Definitely got to get some Halo with you at some point.
You're going to laugh, Steel. He is the biggest shit talker you've ever come across. He is. and he can back it up because when he shits on you, he lets you know it.
Totally not true. I'm the nicest guy in Halo. Totally not true.
You know how they say Cap? You're Cap. That's Cap. But hey, if you can be nothing compared to Pong. So y'all ain't heard Pong get into these games and get real bad.
I can't back it up. Wait, I can't back it up. So I just don't shit to talk shit.
Hey, don't let Pong fool you. He can back it up too. Hey, but I've been having a good time, man. Been enjoying my Thanksgiving break a little bit. Had some good time off there. Just grinding off in Halo, man. In Onyx rank right now. Just putting my nose to the grindstone, man. And ready to get to these topics today, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's welcome in Mav. First of all, brother, thank you so much for joining us. Love that you are a part of this show each and every week. How the heck are you? And have you been getting down with Halo? How much Halo have you been playing?
There's never too much Halo. So I don't know how to answer that question. Pong said he looked at my stats and I had 240 matches. I don't know when that was. So hey, I guess
yesterday.
That's
yesterday morning.
Okay. I played some more last night, so I don't know, man. Probably like 260 matches or something. Love it.
Wow.
Love the game.
Yeah,
absolutely love the freaking game. But I've been having a blast. Hey, it's weird being on a show because the last show was a week ago.
Yep.
But I didn't have any of our shows on our channel. So
yes, yeah, I took a bit of a break myself at the end of the weeks. You want to enjoy it, to kind of get, spread your wings a little bit, enjoy gaming, because the podcasting, folks, is work. You got to, unless you read from your phone, which we don't do on this channel. So so I know I saw you tweet about this. It kind of felt weird not having all the shows that you used to.
Yeah, you get in this routine, right? So, but I'm super happy to be back at it again, kicking off the week with Xbox Factor podcast, one of my favorite shows, period. So let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's get into some of these topics, man.
Yeah, you know what? I can't wait for this week's Fun Pop because that Spider-Man news.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, it's kind of out there that Tom Holland signed a 5-picture contract, 3 with Marvel, 2 with Sony, which means we're going to get the Venom. We're going to get the Venom crossover. We might even get a Simonite series, but we're going to get 3 more movies with Tom Holland in the MCU during the college days.
Yep.
That's dope. So you have a lot to talk about there.
Oh yeah.
Looking forward to that show. And last and no way least, a guy that's been just knocking it out of the park, not only with getting people to sub his channel, but simply because he's been putting out video after video. Boxenberger, what's going on, dude? How the heck are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here today. We have a stacked panel. We have some great topics to talk about. The chat is already on fire, so I can't wait for the show. So let's do this.
Yes. Well, you know what? We're gonna start up with some I don't want to say it's breaking news. It literally just dropped about maybe an hour and 15 minutes ago. It's a smaller topic as we kind of wait everyone to follow in. We'll go with that first, but I want to thank Paul_AFC, who has become a new channel member for Double Barrel Gaming. Paul, thank you so much for that, brother. Definitely appreciate it. But here we go, folks. New information that comes directly to us from PureXbox.com. We have confirmation that the former lead of the Alien Isolation, he's the lead designer, has joined Rare Ltd as design director of the new IP Everwild that was announced during XO19. And here is what he had to say. And by the way, if you didn't know, his name is Gary Knapper. He was obviously the lead designer, like I said, of Alien Isolation. He has worked with Supermassive Games, Sony, Creative Assembly, Criterion, and EA. And this is what he had to say on Twitter. Thrilled to announce that today I joined Rare Ltd as design director on Everwild. Really looking forward to making some amazing things with this incredible team and studio. Now, this, again, maybe the story doesn't blow up your skirt. I hear you, but Everwild took a bit of a hiatus, man. And we got the presentation in XO19. Now we're about to hit 2022. You would have thought that we might have been able to, suggest that maybe holiday 2022, late 23, that we would get in this game. Well, that's not in fact the case, folks, because they pumped the brakes on it because Rare didn't know what kind of game it was. A little bit of a head scratcher, to be honest with you. Are there concerns? Sure. But when you have someone step in who is going to be designing, who has worked on some big games, the question is this big news? Emmy, I'll start first with you. I know we don't know much about Everwild. We know that it's going to be cell shaded, very similar to Breath of the Wild. Everwild, what we saw looked absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I know we haven't heard much, but this is the best news we've seen in a bit for it. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's been very quiet for Everwild. One thing I will say is that Xbox, has over the last year really been doing a great job, acquiring talent from other studios, and I think that this is a great example of that.
Yep.
We've seen countless example after countless example of this happening. The whole fact that they didn't really know what type of game Everwild was is very, very concerning. Like, I mean, it's a huge head scratcher, right? And hopefully this new team member, I can't remember the position. Is it creative director or level director?
Yeah, lead
Design
director.
Lead director.
Lead
Yeah.
design
Design,
director.
yeah.
Yeah. So at
Got
least
you.
they'll be able to figure out what they're making.
Yeah, well, yeah, and hopefully that the person that they hired in, to fill that position can, kind of set things straight, put the project back on the tracks, and hopefully we can get this game maybe in 2023 at the earliest.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Again, we don't know how big this game is going to be. We don't know if it's multiplayer. I personally would love a single player, story-driven, rare story-driven title. That's what I would like. We haven't seen that in a bit. There is a rare multiplayer game called Sea of Thieves. It's doing fine. It has millions and millions of players. People enjoy getting jacked all the time. I don't. So that's why I don't play it. I would love to see Rare return to telling incredible stories the way they used to back in the days. And I hope that Everwild winds up being the quote-unquote Xbox's Breath of the Wild. Pong, I'm going to go to you first on this. Obviously, there was some concern when we heard the actual words. They weren't sure what kind of game they're making. I mean, that makes it a bit of a head scratcher considering the talent they have over there. But maybe they were trying one thing, it didn't work, and now they're going to do something else. How do you want to see this go? And more importantly, is this a big hire for them?
Yeah, I mean, look, great games don't always happen overnight, right? We know that. The creative process is different for every single person and every single team. So with Rare, I think they've got a great floor plan laid as far as what we've seen really looks special, right? And so I think from that standpoint, they're in a good spot. Now, obviously, where you want the game to go, how you want the story to go, narrative, whatever the case may be, somewhere in there, they could not find the sweet spot, so to speak, right? So they obviously did not have that part figured out when they went into this game. Some teams have that part first, right? Or like a Bethesda starts with the music first and then creates from there. So everybody does that from a different angle. So I think bringing in a fresh set of eyes from outside, they've had some, big people leave. And so bringing in a fresh set of eyes, somebody who is a veteran in the industry, somebody who has been in a lot of different places, had hands on with a lot of different types of games.
Yeah.
Bringing this person in, bringing him in to take a look at what they've got so far, and then kind of maybe give the team some ideas in a direction that they can take this game might actually be the spark they needed. And I think that that's probably what's happened here. That's probably the idea behind this. And I think that this is a great hire. You got to bring in more talent. You've lost some of the big people, so you got to bring in some more eyes and some more ideas. And I think that, again, the way that Matt Booty spoke about it in that last interview that he did, where he said it's been kind of overblown, that this is just part of the creative process, is exactly what I was talking about. Everybody's kind of different. Every team's going to be different in this. They're kind of pulled off on a rest stop to kind of retake a look at the map and kind of make
Mhm.
sure that they're going in the right direction, right? And I don't think that's a problem. I think they want to get this game right. You could just slap some stuff together and say, hey, we're Rare. This is Everwild. Everybody's already excited. Let's just throw this out there, right? That's not what we want anymore, or what anybody wants anymore. And now that Microsoft and Xbox are focused on what they're focused on, they have all these teams, they can allow a developer like Rare the time necessary to figure out exactly where they are going and what they want to do with their project. And so I think that this is a good thing. And I love this hire. Again, Alien Isolation, obviously not me, because you don't give me enough weapons in that game to shoot the alien, and it's more hiding from the alien. So I ain't playing that game. But at the end of the day, a lot of people love Alien Isolation. So he's got the pedigree behind him, plus a bunch of other games that he's had hands-on with. So I think really this is maybe a hire like this, maybe a couple more hires like this from the outside, really refocus that team. They're going to figure out that map while they're at this rest stop, and they're going to get to the end spot, which is giving us a great game at the end of the day. So I have no worries about this. We got so much to play. I can't wait. I love what Rare does. Everwild looks very interesting.
It does.
From everything I've seen. So, but I can wait. It's not that big a deal. If this game is another 2-3 years away, that's okay.
Dude, they have so many games in the pipeline, it won't even matter.
Right, exactly. So I can wait on something great from Rare. And if they need to keep cooking in the oven, let them keep cooking in the oven. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. I mean, even if it's 3 years from today, by then we'll have a Fable, we'll have a Vowed, we'll have Halo, we'll have all these things that continue to, dole out. See, the difference between this generation and last gen is that Microsoft literally has so many studios and so many games that they're working on, both in-house and through second party, that studios aren't forced to hit the ground running. And if they trip, oh, you tripped, now we're ruined, right? So if this game does take a couple of years, so be it. Steel Rain, I want to go to you next on this. This is a big deal. I think it is a big hire. I think that when people, again, this isn't a four-alarm fire, Steve.
Right.
Okay, so they made this trailer, right? They put a game out there. They started making a game. Maybe the powers that be were like, yeah, this is not it, folks. This happened, if you didn't know, with God of War 2018. The original concept, Shu himself was like, this is garbage. We're not doing this. Right. And what did Cory Barlog and that team have to do? They had to swallow it and go back to the drawing board and take care of business. Right. Right. And look at God of War. It's a masterpiece. Right. And some people disagree. I think it's a masterpiece because I like those types of games. Steel, is this a big hire?
I think it is, man. For me personally, it's more so about the pedigree. Since I haven't heard anybody step into that yet, I kind of wanted to bring that up just in case anybody who's not familiar with him. So Gary Knapper himself has been a designer at EA since 2004. He's been working on many games, including the Harry Potter series, Burnout and Black. And after working as a lead designer on the Hasbro Family Game Night series, Gary is now lead design on spare parts on the Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network's title from EA's Bright Light Studio. He specializes in game design, level design, game integration, gameplay balancing, and presenting game pitches and camera systems. And then when you look through his, again, like Pong was kind of saying, when you look at his pedigree, he's touched on titles like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 from back in the day. He's done a lot of QA testing since he's been in the game. And then like you brought up earlier with the Alien Isolation, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, spare parts, so on and so forth. I think this is a solid hire for them actually to get this back on track, because that seems like it's kind of been derailed at this point. And again, you're in the creative process. us not knowing how game design works and everything, we just like, oh, they're just throwing some stuff on the wall. Why don't you just get to work, and then we just expect the game to come out. And like I always like to say is sometimes you got to pull yourself back out of the situation and say, all right, well, let's not be too, for lack of a better term, anal about the situation and look at it overhead. Okay, well, these different things that's going on. They have an excellent art design. So they have some kind of vision there. Maybe they just need someone with some vision to put them in the right direction. And I think that's what they're going to have with this. From all the criteria that I'm reading here, the little bit of information that I've read up on him, it seems like he definitely has his head on straight, and it could definitely help them push that in the right direction. Hopefully get that game out sooner than later. So
yeah, folks, if you notice, we lost Pong. He might have been having some internet issues, so we'll get him back momentarily. Mav, do we get your opinion on this yet, brother?
Not yet. I'm happy to chime in though.
Yeah, let's have you chime in. Obviously, Rare is an important studio for Microsoft. And it has nothing to do with them just being the Sea of Thieves studio.
Right.
They have an incredible history that I am happy to say without Microsoft may not exist in this era of gaming.
Yeah.
Right, because they take a long time to put their games together. This is another example of that, right? And you know what? Taking time to craft a masterpiece is perfectly fine. Now, you can easily look and say, well, Sea of Thieves is a perfect example of this conversation that we're having, because at its start, it was a little bare bones, right? But look at it now. Millions and millions of players tune in each and every day to play that game because it has something that they love and they enjoy. And again, I think that Everwild could be the next Sea of Thieves. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I hope it's not a competitive game, which I don't think it is. It looks like it's a story-driven game. Maybe it's multiplayer. Maybe because it looked like there was 3 characters, so maybe we can play it in a trio. Maybe you can control each character. We don't know. But I love the fact that they're going to have time to work on it and have someone now in the driver's seat that has seen success in what he has done. What are your thoughts on this hire?
Yeah, I think it's good. And I'm glad that we're actually talking about this, because usually when we talk about somebody in a studio, it's like, oh, doom and gloom. Somebody left the studio.
Director A left. We're all doomed.
right.
And guess what? That's just part of the world that we live in. People leave businesses, go to different jobs all the time, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? People hire as well. And in fact, Xbox has been doing a lot more hiring than they have been doing letting go over the last few years. So whenever one of these articles like design director blah 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 leaves, is like doom and gloom. Hey, it's good to talk about these things as well, because I remember when we discussed Everwild director leaving before, right? And there was a lot of questions. But this is a good hire, because you look at the track record. It's interesting to me also, he comes from Creative Assembly now, which was owned by Sega.
Yeah.
Hey, now they're just giving us developers. You know what I mean? Hey, that this partnership is showing some dividends already. I'm kidding about that, but as far as somebody coming in that's like lead designer on Alien Isolation, right? That's a very well thought of game.
Yeah.
It is it's in Game Pass now. Again, Sega game in Game Pass. What? That's crazy, right? It's in Game Pass.
I see what you're doing there, Mr. Mav, right. Trying to make us all believe that Sega is in for the acquisition. But that's a story. That's a story for another podcast.
Yeah. It's you see this stuff, right? In this game that has been kind of like it's kind of a classic to a lot of people, I think, from the last generation, right?
Yep.
And you got this guy who's had a lot of success in a lot of different titles come in and help give just some gameplay focus and direction about getting this thing to the finish line. The Everwild has a lot of promise, because what they have created and what they've shown has people very intrigued, right? It's beautiful.
Yes,
gorgeous.
Very beautiful open world. Yep.
Art, the character design, the creatures that they have, like the companion animals and stuff that they've created and stuff, just absolutely beautiful. And the other thing I wanted to say is this also points to Xbox's focus on quality, allowing them to reset bring in different people, and they're not just saying, hey, let's just get this out the door, figure it out. Let's just get this out the door because we need to make our profit, right? We need a return on investment now. And the time is here. Let's go. They're saying, okay, we have something special. We don't want to rush it out. We're going to do what we need to do to make sure this is good. And it shows with the track record of all of the reviews of the games they've released this past year. They have a high bar for quality, and that's not going to stop now. They're going to make sure that they live up to that name and the brand that they're pushing out there, right? So bringing in somebody like that is more evidence of that, right? So I think they're going to take as much time as they need, get this game right, because I think they believe they're onto something special, and we'll see. The other old Microsoft would have been, when it was time to reset, they would have canceled the game.
Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
Yes, they would have. 100%.
This is not them. They see the value, they see the investment, they see what people are excited about, and they're like, hey, let's just get this right. Let's just do it, move forward, and we're gonna ship this thing. We got Rare, one of the best developers in the world, and we're just gonna add to that team with more talent. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah, that's a great point. Boxenberger, you have had some things to say about Rare's Everwild. We don't know much. We do, again, like Mav just said, we do have artwork. We do have an open world. We have seen some creatures. The game looks gorgeous, and if it maintains its cell shaded look like Breath of the Wild, they could have something special in it. The one thing about Rare is that they're not just these. Let's make some real graphics. They're not going to produce. And again, I maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. I don't think we're going to get a Last of Us type of graphics from Rare. That's not just what they do. Can they do it? I'm sure, but that's not what they want to do. They want to tell these fictional stories in an art form that they find fitting for their developer. I'm all in on it. What are your thoughts on this hire?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of true stuff has already been said. Hires happen all the time. People change jobs. That's just a normal thing. I mean, we've seen over the course of the last 3-4 years that Xbox is really hiring and trying to grow their studios, and that they are giving the teams the time. And I think this is what is happening right now here with Everwild as well, because the rumor has been out there for a long time now, or about a year now, that they started the game all over again and that they didn't know what the game will be and so on. This is all based on rumors. In a recent interview, Matt Booty actually talked about it, and he said something like, I'm paraphrasing now. He said something that starting from scratch is a little bit too much to say. That they had an idea, but that the team wasn't happy where the direction is going, and so they changed their vision for the game, and that's what has happened. They got a little bit more time to change the vision, to make a great game, and that is what Microsoft is these days. And for them to hire a new guy, I think that happens all the time. I wouldn't read too much into it. I'm glad that they hired someone with a lot of expertise and experience in the gaming industry. So I'm still looking forward to see what Everwild will actually be. What we have heard was that the original idea was kind of a Zelda Breath of the Wild game type of game. I would love that. But Rare has always been that studio that did just unique games, very unique games. I mean, if we think back in the N64 days, they did obviously GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, but they did also awesome games like Jet Force Gemini, for instance, one of my favorite games of the N64.
Matter. Yeah, Cameo was fantastic.
And they have always had that unique way of building games, of telling stories, and especially they always try out new things. I mean, look at Sea of Thieves, not my type of game. I didn't get into it. I can't really tell why, but it wasn't my type of game. But nevertheless, I appreciate what they did, because it is something new for them as a studio, but also kind of in the gaming space. Because have you ever seen a game that had zero tutorials at the beginning when it launched?
Mhm.
It was really unique, and a unique approach to have that shared world where gamers had to find out how to play the game. That was really something special, and that is what I always appreciated about Rare, and just to see that they are getting the funding to hire the people they think they need, to see that they get the time if they work on a game and see that their vision didn't turn out to be as good as they hoped it would be, and make the adjustment and just get the extra time. That is what I'm excited about, and I can't wait to see whatever Wild will be when it comes out in, I don't know, 2026 or something.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
So,
again, I think everyone has on the same page of, let it cook for as long as it needs to cook.
Right.
And when it releases, it's going to be something special because they're putting the right people in there. And more importantly, in game development, they're giving them something that you cannot put a price tag on: time to get it right. And you know what? You can't argue with that. But what I want to do is I kind of want to focus on the speculation town aspect of here. Listen, folks, we have a lot of information that BioWare has once again lost on a very important piece to Dragon Age 4. And that again, it makes you wonder what exactly is going on at Rare, right? Like what exactly is happening. And like I said, this comes to us via the gentleman that was in the chat. He dropped a super chat during Xbox era. He brought up this topic. I thought it was a fantastic topic, but before I get into it, and before I forget, if you're a fan of Xbox era, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, because both John and Nick and OBM and the rest of the crew over there, they do such an amazing work. They're doing something extremely special. Now, I haven't heard back from John because I actually want the link, but I am going to drop the link to his announcement into the chat momentarily. And what I'm talking about is the Kickstarter that they are doing for a very special Xbox history of Xbox book. I'm in for the 110-pound edition, which I couldn't be more than happy to support these guys. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for you. Check it out. This is the Twitter page announcement for them. Listen, if you don't want to support it, no problem. I'm just saying that I think it's worthy. If you're a big Xbox fan, the work that they're doing to release this book. I believe they're working with Shamus Blackley on it as well, which is pretty interesting. They've already shown what the hardcover edition is going to look like. It's gorgeous. So definitely go over there and check it out. If you're an Xbox fan and you want to support this Kickstarter, I have already supported. I backed it the day it went live. And again, if you're a fan of Xbox and you maybe you don't listen to Xbox ever, you should definitely check them out. They just crossed 10,000 subs. So whatever they're doing, folks, they're doing it right. But let me rewind this back. Now, Pong, I'm going to go to you first because obviously you are co-mayor of Speculation Town along with Mav. Zemi, you could be a co-mayor if you want as well. He
Probably
likes
not
it.
Today. Probably not today.
Not today.
Yeah.
Well, listen, here's the situation. There is no talk of Microsoft buying BioWare from EA, right? It's a what if kind of scenario. There's not a lot of news, folks. So you sometimes gotta, you gotta listen to other podcasts. Sometimes you gotta, take these things and run a little bit deeper with them. They did touch on it. I wanted to go a little bit further because BioWare is one of those developers that have an incredible history, an absolutely stacked deck of games that they have made over the years that are considered classics and AAA bombs. But that BioWare doesn't exist anymore. That BioWare is a shell of its former self, I should say. They have lost significant leadership there. We have heard, a couple of years ago, we had that big story that was broken by Jason Schreier about the crunch and people crying in closets and people being let go because they couldn't, handle the pressure, people quitting. It's basically a mess. So now you ask yourself, why would Microsoft want to get involved with this? Well, here's the thing. They're currently basically have become the leaders of Western RPGs, right? They have Obsidian, they have Bethesda, they have what's the third one? In Exile,
Mm.
right? So they have basically cornered the market in Western RPGs. Well, Bioware, even though we know they're not for sale, I'm going to be honest with you, folks. I kind of think that they're skating on thin ice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they haven't had a hit in a while. They're costing EA a significant amount of money, and if they don't deliver on Dragon Age 4, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's all she wrote for the studio, and EA is notorious for shutting down studios when they cost them money and they're not producing. Now, it's been a little bit of a different EA, right? So, they have been making some really good moves. They still have the crummy sports games that they just rape everybody with these ridiculous cards that they make you buy. But, obviously the question, Pong, is if Dragon Age doesn't hit, if they're on the cusp of closing, does Microsoft step in to say, hey, wait a second, we can do something with this? Casey Hudson, who left, who's now doing his own thing, has a history with Microsoft. If current Microsoft were to take over this studio, buy the IPs, right? This would be a big purchase, but they could do it. They got the money, and they somehow lure Casey Hudson to take the studio back over because it's going to be different. Is this something that they do? I see you laughing there, Pong.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to convince Casey to come back, but never say never, right? Look, here's the deal. BioWare is a walking zombie of its former self, right?
Yes, it is. 100%.
It's nowhere near the BioWare of old. In fact, you could probably argue that it's a completely different studio at this point. And they haven't shown that they are up to the task of filling those old shoes, those old BioWare shoes that gave us some of the greatest adventures that we could have ever hoped for in multiple games, right? So I think at this point, you're buying a shell of a company just for the name and for the IP. And again, I don't think EA would part ways with the IP at all, because EA knows the value in those names. However, let's just say, for argument's sake, because we are in speculation town, that Phil convinces EA to go ahead and give up those IPs for an exorbitant amount of money. Then, yes, I think that I would do it just from the standpoint of the history and to protect those IPs. I would begin to rebuild BioWare. Again, I don't think that you could convince a Casey Hudson to come back, but you could certainly try. But I think that with the draw that Xbox now has, proving that they are allowing studios, as we were just talking about with Rare, we've heard, obviously from so many different devs within Xbox come out and say that they are allowing these studios to do what they do best, which is make games. And it's a hands-off approach. I think then you could revitalize the BioWare name. You could revitalize the IPs, and you could attract enough talent to start rebuilding what once was there. Are you ever going to recapture the magic of the first time that they made Mass Effect? No,
Probably not.
Probably not, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, could you still get again, I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that the devs currently at BioWare don't have talent. They have talent. Don't get me wrong. It's just big shoes to fill when you lose some of your main creative forces behind all the major IPs that BioWare did produce. Once you lose those creative forces, to ask other people to step into those roles and to take over and try to reproduce that magic is near impossible. Okay, we've seen it happen from time to time, but at the end of the day, it's a mountain to climb. But I think that you could resurrect BioWare as a studio, bring in some more talent, round it out, and have a high quality studio that could produce some titles within those IPs that would obviously give a lasting a lasting, what I want to say, give back within those IPs to the fans out there, something that they could remember, even if it wasn't as great as it once was. Right now under EA, I'm worried. I'm worried for Dragon Age. I'm worried for Mass Effect 4. I don't know if they can produce the game that most of the fans are.
They keep losing creative directors, dude.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I don't know, man.
It's again, it's a mountain to climb, and that's under EA's management. And we know that outside of Zampella and his teams, EA still has not proved that they've turned the corner and are allowing these studios to do what they do best. There's a lot of hands-on kind of, meddling in the devs' affairs, so to speak, when it comes to creating games and EA. So I think that it would be a good move. Again, this is way out in speculation town. This is something crazy. I love that you brought it up, Boom. I would love to see it just because I'm a BioWare, old BioWare fan, and I'd love to see that name stick around. I don't want to see it broken up, and dissolved within EA like they've done with so many other high-profile studios that they've acquired. I don't want to see that happen because I'd love to see the BioWare name live on, because I think that name, when it is said still to this day, just because of what they gave us, still has that power of, oh yeah, those are some of the best RPGs I've ever played in both sci-fi and high fantasy, right?
Yep.
And I'd hate to see that name go away because I want it to stick around and last, because it is a part of the history of video games. But as we all know, as we get older, things that we want don't always happen. Things that we once loved change. That's just how the world works. But I'd love to see Xbox step in if that's the route that EA is going to go. I'd love Xbox to step in and at least try to say, hey, don't do that. Let us take them over. We'll buy it. We'll give you whatever money you want for the IPs. Let us take them back, and let's try to salvage salvage what was there at one time. That's what I'd like to see happen.
And great point. Real quick, I got to shout out who dropped a super chat. Let me see. Where are you? Chris Jones drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Hope you young gentlemen had an amazing holidays and Grandpa Pong too."
Shout out to you.
Actually, I'm the oldest guy here, man. I saw. Yeah,
not by much.
You're spry young man. Y'all spry young men. Stop. Y'all spry. Come on.
I love it. Listen, Boxenberg, let's get your opinion on this. Again, this is a very big hypothetical. I bring it up because, like I said, I'm a big fan of both John and Nick. I listen to Xbox Era like I think everyone else should. And I thought this was interesting because I think Pong's onto something. I mean, when you look at how many creative directors and how much movement that we have seen from Mass Effect 4 and Dragon Age 4, I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't look good, Pong. The confidence level is low. But Boxenberger, could the current, management at Xbox, who is allowing talent to do what they do best, and that's make great games, potentially step in if EA were to close BioWare? Because obviously, I'll put it to you this way, and it's an interesting conversation. Hypothetical, sure, but Dragon Age and Mass Effect, two monster IPs, right? We know that they have a lot of legs left in them. Maybe EA wouldn't get rid of them initially, but if they did, who could actually step in? I mean, could Vince Zampella's team actually do it? I actually wouldn't think that I'm sure that they could do a bang-up job, but he has a lot on his plate. It can't be just one guy saving the whole freaking company. So if they were to bomb on Dragon Age 4, I don't know about what your thoughts are, because we're gonna hear it right now. I think EA would close BioWare. It would be a tragedy. It really would. And I think Microsoft could, in fact, current management, make that studio great again. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have a lot of nostalgia for BioWare. We played those games. The Mass Effect trilogy is probably one of the best, if not the best, gaming trilogy ever made.
Yep.
The Dragon Age franchise is incredible. We all have much nostalgia for them. But like Pong said, BioWare isn't BioWare anymore. Most of the people that made those games great, and one of them. best. Exactly, they are gone. So when we say should Microsoft take over Bioware, I think we mean should Microsoft take over the IPs, because I think the universes and the lore and everything offer so much. I don't know if they necessarily need the studio, but the IPs would be what I would say is what we should discuss here. Because the studio has been troubled so many years now, with Anthem, with everything.
Even
that
before
happened.
Anthem, they were having problems. So if you go back,
we go to Dragon
5
Age
years,
Inquisition,
6
even had a
years.
even though it was well received critically, the development was really troubled. So
there was crunch unlike anything they've had. According to developers that talked about that, they said Box that it was development hell for that game.
Exactly. So should Microsoft take them over? I think sometimes you need just to reset things. But I'm 100% with you, Boom. Not to get a new Mass Effect game, not to get a new Dragon Age, would be awful. That these IPs are just too good to not be continued. So in the speculation town, I think it would be awesome to see someone else tackle the IPs outside of BioWare. You brought up obviously Zampella. I think he has a lot on his hands, but what other EA studio could do it? So that would be probably an interesting thing to see a Obsidian or an In Exile take on one of those big IPs and see what they could put what they could make out of such an IP. I don't know whether they need to necessarily buy out BioWare.
I mean, okay, and that does make sense. The IPs are valuable. Steel, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Again, this is a speculative kind of a conversation, and I think it's a fun one.
Yeah.
What I mean, like Boxenberger said, do they need BioWare or do they need the IPs?
Like y'all have made the point so far. I mean, and like we all know, BioWare has definitely been on that slippery slope. For me, my early introduction to BioWare was with like games like MDK or Neverwinter Nights back on PC. And then I kind of fell off the bandwagon for BioWare since then until Anthem. And then after that, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, because I was one of those people who didn't play it until this year with the Legendary Edition and got to get that experience of what people mean by when they say, this is what BioWare is. For me, is it the IP or is it the studio? I think it's a little bit of both, right? Because it's not just whoever was the head of the company and them leaving that the reason why it's gone downhill. I personally think it's because of EA. We all know that EA is money driven. They're not creative driven, period. And they have visibly shown that over the years. And that's been always my problem with EA, is that they get into this place where they feel real comfortable, and then they've done this thing with microtransactions now because it's been so easy. And that's kind of the marketplace that we're in, where they're comfortable. If they're not making hand over fist money for them, they don't want to invest. It's kind of the reason why Anthem got poo-pooed on, you know what I mean? Which is another game which I had so much love for, bringing my Iron Man simulator to life. But I go just stepping into speculation town a bit. I would want to see BioWare and the IPs get moved over to a company like Microsoft, because I know at least with them, they can be creative led. They can be given the time, they can be given the funds, they can be given the respect that they need to put out excellent content, and maybe put themselves back on top like they used to be. Again, it looks like the talent has always been there, but it's just like with any other job, right? If you don't have a good supervisor, a bad supervisor can get rid of any good employee. And that's when you use that perspective, again, always pulling yourself out of the world. That has to be kind of what's going on here. Now, is that the whole story? Maybe not, but I just have this thing with kind of EA at this point where I kind of want to see a lot of those things get pulled out of there, especially with Xbox and EA kind of having this partnership that they got going on now, really working hand in hand with each other. I can see EA saying, hey, Microsoft, I see you open that checkbook. What do you think about if we hand you over this? Because, I mean, if this game doesn't hit, if Dragon Age doesn't hit, if the next Bioware doesn't hit, well, of course, if Dragon Age doesn't hit, then Bioware's Mass Effect is definitely out of the question. Then it's kind of that. That's what I would personally want to see, is just get them moved into a position where they can have that vision. They can be given time. They can be just be given respect, because I feel like they don't have that. And they have so much on their head at this point. Can you imagine how difficult it is to work with a monkey on your shoulder, with people
100%,
saying that,
yeah,
hey, if you don't put out a game that's as good as that legendary edition that you just re-released, that millions of people have probably played at this point, sorry, I'm going to have to cut you.
yeah.
That is, and especially in an industry where it's already difficult to keep devs. Gaming, there's so much that goes into gaming, and I try to tell people this all the time. People dedicate years of their life to this craft, and man, I just couldn't imagine living with that monkey on your shoulder on a day-to-day basis while they put their nose to the grindstone. Going in and out with different directors, going in different out with different creative decisions and things like that. I just want what's going to be best for them. Again, like y'all said, are they a shell of them former selves? Yes. Could they be brought back to life? Yeah, but I think it's going to lead a lot more work internally than I think EA is willing to offer.
Yeah. Well, again, right now the path is dark for them. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It doesn't look good. And when you have creative director after creative director leave projects, that means that they're drowning. They're literally drowning over there. And as much as I'd love to see a continued Shepard story, because that's what that trailer implied.
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen, but only time is going to tell. I'm saving Zemi Games for last because he's the biggest Mass Effect fan of us all. But Mav, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Is this something that Microsoft could consider? Or even EA, because EA doesn't get they don't get rid of IPs. Obviously, they kept Dead Space after getting rid of that studio, and we know we have a new Dead Space coming, which is interesting. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think that they're potentially on the verge of being closed?
It's very possible, because right now they're just like a lot of talented people with no direction.
Yep.
Right. And that's kind of what Bioware has turned into. Well, ever since I think 2012, when the two doctors retired and left Bioware, Ray Mizuka and Greg Zeschuk, I think is what his name is. One of them's making beer now. He's living his best life, and the other one is investing in stuff. They just kind of moved on from the video game space, but they created what we know of as Bioware. Right. They were the driving force of the creative direction. Right.
Yeah.
They were the Todd Howard. Right. They were the mastercrafts. Right. So once they left, there's nobody that really filled in the shoes. I mean, you had some good people that were directors and stuff under them, like Casey Hudson and all these things. Right. But ever since they left, soon after that, they released Dragon Age Inquisition. That was the last new game that had any kind of success, and that was what, 2013.
Yeah, wow.
It's been 8 years. They've had Anthem. Now you could say, yeah, Mass Effect Legendary Edition. That's great. It was a success, right? It was a success, but there's no creative direction with that. It's about technical prowess. When you're going and doing a remaster like that, you're going and making it new again, but you're not telling new stories. You're not creating new characters. You're not doing all this stuff, right? You're basically taking what we've done in the past and making it better and more polished. They have a lot of talent with technical prowess. You saw it with Anthem. You saw it with all of their games. Very talented studios. But unless you got direction, I don't know what you're acquiring, because you could just hire all those developers and start a new studio, right? Yeah. So when Xbox acquired Bethesda, Todd Howard came along as part of that deal. Who knows how long these guys are going to stay, right? When they acquired Obsidian, I Fergus something. I can't remember his name. In Exile, I think it's Brian Fargo. You
Yes. He was going to retire.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you can go across the board a lot.
Something
I mean, a lot of these people that are ahead of these studios, you know, you got a Double Fine, you got Tim Schafer, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you got legendary game design icons that are at kind of like forefathers of creating a lot of the genres that we love. You got adventure games, you got RPGs, you got first person shooters with id. You know, you got like forefathers here that have created genres and push things forward, still in charge of a lot of these studios that Xbox has acquired. Now if you lose the direction, then you got to babysit. You got to figure out who's going to be in charge of this, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, kind of like they've had to do with Rare, right? They've had to do a lot of that with Rare is and Bioware have a lot of similarities. The differences is Microsoft is not EA, right?
Yes.
So if you look at it, there's
There you go.
potential there, but man, it would be a big undertaking, and I don't know if it would be worth the undertaking without the IPs, right? So
They're both,
for
yeah.
me, it's just like start a new studio and hire a bunch of the talent and get some body that's out there that you know can really lead a studio creatively, then put them in charge, right? But kind of like they did with what's the new the Initiative, right? That's how they started the Initiative.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So there's ways of doing it, but man, I don't know, dude. I have hope for Bioware because Dragon Age is one of my favorite franchises. Mass Effect was one of my favorite franchises, and I fear for Dragon Age so bad right now because, man, last year they were like, "Hey, Dragon Age is going to be at the Game Awards." Right, that's the only thing we knew was going to be there. They made a point to announce it. Now we got some canned trailer that didn't mean anything, right?
Yep.
And we haven't heard a word since, except possibly this guy leaving another reboot. Who knows, man? Like I don't know. I just don't know what they're doing there. I hope for the best for them because there's a lot of talent, but unless they have the right leadership, it's doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's definitely true. Zemi Games, let's get your opinion on this.
Yeah.
This is a very, very hypothetical, speculative type of conversation that we're having. We're going to get to the Halo one momentarily.
Sure.
But I mean, BioWare is one bad move from being closed. That's a reality. I think it's safe to say that at this point they have cost EA millions. Now, whose fault is it? Is it EA's? Probably. Did they overreach like they normally do? Potentially. We'll never know unless someone writes a book. But it's not good there. And now, again, it was just announced that this head creator is gone. And they're telling us, hey, don't worry. Dragon Age 4 is going to be just fine. Sure it is. I mean, could a Microsoft step in at some point and help the studio from being closed if they made some sort of blockbuster deal for the IPs?
Yeah, so I don't think BioWare is one bad move away from, EA completely disowning it and selling it away to Microsoft or anything like that. I don't think they're one bad move away. I think that there's still a couple of bad moves away. I think if Dragon Age 4 came out and it wasn't very good, let's say that it was like a repeat of Andromeda or a repeat of Anthem, I don't think that immediately EA is going to be, closing up, shop with BioWare. And the reason I say that is because, there's multiple teams at BioWare. One team, if I'm not mistaken, is working on Dragon Age. And I believe another team is working on the new Mass Effect game, right? And so I would imagine that if Dragon Age came out, next, which I think it will, Mass Effect isn't going to be too far, behind that, right? And I would say that they would definitely release both of those titles before they decided to, close up shop or anything like that. I also, want to give EA some tiny semblance of credit. I mean, I will say that they are historically not a very good publisher, but they really have made a lot of strides in the last, couple of years, at least in my opinion. I think that they have had a lot of challenges, and I think that they have learned some lessons.
Well, I think Vince Zampella is really the one responsible for these changes. I mean, to be honest,
I agree, but somebody in management is listening to him, right? So I think at the end of the day, they have learned something. They're not exactly the same EA that we saw, in 2013. I'd like to think that they have learned something. And really the only thing from BioWare that we can even remotely look at would be the Mass Effect Legendary Collection or Legendary Edition. And Mav brought up a great point that is a remaster and it's not, a brand new, game, in the series. But I still like that. Still gives me hope as a BioWare fan and as a fan of Mass Effect that they are going to be able to put out, high quality content. It may not be as good as the very first Mass Effect. It may not be as good as the very first Dragon Age, but if it's good enough that it's commercially successful, then I think that's really what BioWare is looking at right now. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to capture that same feeling that fans felt whenever we first played Mass Effect, right? Recapturing that with a new with new, maybe not saying a new studio, but with new developers in a studio or a new studio is really, really hard. We've seen that with 343, right? It took them multiple tries to finally get it right, and it looks like they did, right? But so long as it's good enough, I think that BioWare will be sticking with EA. EA will be sticking with BioWare. I think that if both Mass Effect, the new Mass Effect, and the new Dragon Age both turned out like Andromeda or both turned out like Anthem, then that is probably when they were possibly going to question getting rid of BioWare. If that was the case, going down speculation town, if EA did decide to get rid of BioWare, me personally, I would love to see Microsoft, acquire them. I really would. But the caveat to that is that they definitely need the IP. And I would also like them to, like to see them actually get the studio as well, to actually get the BioWare name, I think is important as well. And then of course, get the developers that are attached to that, give them the funding that they need, give them the time that they need, hire new talent to help with the transition and to help replace the people that they've lost throughout the years. And hopefully, bring back Mass Effect, bring back Dragon Age to where it is. I don't like the idea of them just acquiring the IP, because we've kind of already seen Microsoft, very, very slow, at the gun, which is kind of good, but it's also kind of frustrating as a gamer and as a fan of a lot of, IP that they have. They have a lot of IP. They don't have enough studios to make all of the games that they have IP for, right? So I don't want to see them just get the Mass Effect or Dragon Age IP, because I have a feeling that they're going to sit on it longer than I would want them to.
Okay, makes sense.
If this situation did happen, I would want to see them acquire both the IP and the studio.
All right. I mean, listen, again, great conversation. Didn't take too much of the show. We're going to get into the serious part, but everyone had great points. Like I said, I'm on the other side of the camp. I don't know how many bad projects they are away from being, closed up shop like we've seen EA do before. EA has been better. You are right. I think Vince Zampella, like Pong said, is a big part of that. I think that his ideology of how he makes games is starting to, you're starting to see that transition into EA. Now, is it totally? Do I trust EA? The answer is nay. I absolutely do not trust EA. But we shall see. What I do want to do is I want to talk about Halo. Now, folks, Halo Infinite we're 8 days away from playing the single player. I honestly, and nothing else in the world is going to exist. I bought all these games that they're going to sit in their wrappers because nothing is going to matter. If I'm not playing multiplayer, I'm playing the single player campaign. And I can't wait. Now, I know a lot of people are still a little sour on that because there's no co-op, and some people want to experience very special moments with their friends and families, their brothers, their kids, their dads. I've seen people talk about. So I hear you on that. I hear that a lot of people, are going to hold off playing it. I'm not. I've always played the single player campaign by myself, at least once, potentially a second time around, because I really want to enjoy the story. And then I try to beat the game on the hardest legendary difficulty. Then that's when I bring in a buddy or three, like I did with Halo 3, and it was great. It was just amazing. Very challenging, sure. But we're not here to talk about the single player campaign. We're not here to talk about the fact that they are out in the wild, like we talked about, in the opening. There are people with copies. People are playing it as we speak. I'm not one of them. I don't have a copy. I'm going to play on December 8th like everybody else. What I do want to talk about is two important questions that I think need to be asked and potentially answered. Me and Zemi play all the time. We played yesterday. We had a chance to hang out and get some good games in. Kay Asante wound up jumping in at the end. Played a couple games with him. Had a lot of fun. But we noticed potentially, again, this is just my opinion on it, there were some instances where it looked like there was cheating going on. And I say that because, again, when you shoot a rocket launcher at someone at point blank, usually you're both going to die, right? That's just the works. It's a rocket launcher, and that's how it works in Halo. So if I'm going to go, I'll take you out with me. At least I get a kill. No big deal. Well, we saw that happen for us dying, not so much the person on the other end of it. So now we have to ask, is there cheating going on? Well, yes, it has been confirmed that there is, in fact, cheating going on. And this leads to the second question. And I'm gonna go to Mav on this. Mav, you have a ridiculous amount of time playing this game. The big question is: the cheating going to be rectified at some point? The answer is yes. Community manager, I believe, I'm going to pull up the tweet. Thanks to Zemi, he dropped it into the DMs. Let me just pull that up real quick. Where are you, Zemi? Here it is. This comes from Joseph Staten. He says this on Twitter. This was 2 hours ago. We have more anti-cheat measures in the pipeline. In the meantime, please use the link to report bad actors. The ban hammer is unlimited. I think he meant to say, and ready for action. So that's great. If you find someone that's cheating, do in fact report them. But the second question, Matt, is we do currently know that players are in both sides of the camp. PC and Xbox gamers are playing together. There is currently no toggle to make you play with console only. Is this a necessity before launch?
Ooh, before launch. Wow. Okay. I would say that it is a necessity at some point, and this is just with all cross-platform play, right? Because cheating has really, in the modern era of gaming now, only really come into a problem on games like Warzone and such. That,
Apex Legends.
Yeah, when you're playing on cross-play with players that are on PC, right? Because it is way easier to get cheats, and there's even places that sell them, right? They just advertise it and sell it on the open market. Hey, get your aimbot here, So when you're competing against that, you got actual people that are trying to make little businesses to enable cheaters, right? You're always on the constant battle with PC gaming. And as you said, Boom, like, will they fix the cheating? It will always be a battle. Right.
Yes.
The more popular a game is, the more it's going to attract this. Right. That's the one thing that I've always kind of had in the back of my head. Okay, if they actually really succeed with this free to play thing with cross platform play, it's launching day one on Steam and console. You're welcoming that PC crowd. It's an amazing thing. Right. I get to play with Steel when he's playing on PC and I'm on console. I love it. Right. But console players aren't used to that battle of playing against cheaters that the PC players are, right? So we're seeing this world, and I've seen it a lot in Warzone and these other games where, in Warzone, you're in this battle royale, and the last player alive, you could tell he was cheating because he flipped around, did a 180, and just pulled the trigger once, and and headshotted you across the side of the map without ever zooming in on a scope, right? So when you see things like that, it's like, okay, I don't want that in my games. And the problem is even if the cheating isn't rampant, which to be honest with you, I've put a lot of hours into Halo Infinite already. Okay. I've only personally come into one instance where I'm pretty sure that that person was cheating, right? I was able to recognize it because the amount of time that I put in, but I'm not saying it doesn't exist more. I think sometimes people kind of see players that have an exceptional skill or are don't understand some mechanics that happen in Halo because it's not the same style of game as they're used to, and they may assume cheating. But the problem is when you know that there's cheating existing, that's always going to be in your head, right? So now anything that happens that doesn't seem right is probably going to be because they were cheating, right? In your head. So it's a constant battle. Unfortunately, in the world we live in, if Halo maintains the popularity and the course that it's on, cheating will continue to exist throughout the life of the game, and it's always going to be a constant battle because as many fixes as Xbox and Microsoft put in, there's always the other side trying to tear it down. I remember Modern Warfare or Warzone a couple months back had this big announcement. Hey, big banhammer thing coming. We're enabling this new cheat system, anti-cheat, where it's going to be a big deal. You're all screwed. You cheaters are getting screwed. They had it hacked within a day.
Yep.
They had it hacked within 1 day, and it was supposed to be the ultimate fix for Warzone. So this is always going to be a problem. The only way to fix it for console players that don't want to live in that same world the PC players do is to enable that option, right? So then it comes down to personal choice. And for me, it's going to be, okay, if I'm playing with some of my buddies are playing on PC, I'll have that toggle switched off so I can play with them. And when I'm not, I will have the toggle switched on to make it to where I'm only on console. So they need to implement that at some point. Is it going to happen at launch? I don't know if that's going to happen because they're already working on so many other things, right? They got a lot on their plate. Okay, progression system. You know, they're working on content for the season passes. They're working on all these things. They're working on this or that. They're trying to finish up the co-op campaign and all this. And it depends on what the priority level is. Now, if the cheating keeps getting worse, that priority level is going to go pretty high. And it depends on how easy of a switch it is because they don't want to kill the community either, right? So that
yeah, but you know that's
really
the
good.
thing, dude. This isn't a game that doesn't have a name attached to it where you got to worry about. Well, if we box out, PC gamers, we're doomed. I think that this is a big enough game that both communities can exist on their own.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I wish we lived in a world where people didn't want to freaking cheat. And it's like, when did it become cool to like hack your game and get it and win? You know, because the ultimate problem is not Xbox, it's not Halo, it's not Call of Duty, it's not Battlefield, it's not Apex Legends, it's not any of these games. It's people. People suck. Stop cheating. Like, why do you guys what benefit do people gain by feeling like they beat somebody by downloading something and putting it on their PC?
Yeah,
it's lame. So anybody, if you're listening, if you're a cheater, you suck.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Zemi, I'm going to get your opinion on this, brother. You play Halo a lot. You're going to be playing Halo both single player, multiplayer. The question is, again, is everyone cheating? No. Are there people with ridiculous skills out there? 100%. Absolutely 100%. But the importance level of the toggle, I absolutely can't stand not giving players choice, right? And what am I talking about? If I want to play with PC players and get my face kicked in, whether they're cheating or not, then that's on me. But I don't want to be forced to do that. It's why I would never play Sea of Thieves. I know that they did some work to that, but I don't want to play against PC players. Cross-play should be a choice of the gamer. Right? Don't take away choices from me. Give me more choices. For you and for the community at large, how important is the toggle for crossplay to be able to switch on and off for at launch.
Yeah, I mean, to just kind of touch on like the first part on launch, I don't know if it's going to be like realistic for them to be able to actually have that feature out by launch. I mean, because there's a lot of features that they want to add in. There's a lot of things that people have been asking for. And of course, we are 8 days away, and we have no idea, where, that what current timeline they are for adding in crossplay, right? So I don't know how realistic it is to expect it to come out on, the 8th of next week. But I do think it is very, very important that they do eventually add in crossplay sooner rather than later. Hopefully at some point, maybe mid current season, right? So possibly maybe in January, February. It was when I would at least like to see it. Just me personally. Because like what you said, of course, the hacking, the cheating the game is definitely occurring more frequently with PC players. I'm not saying that it can't happen with console, players. I'm not saying that people can't cheat while playing on console, but it is a lot more prevalent and a lot easier to do, as Mav said, on PC. And as far as my actual perspective of actually seeing it, I'm not even sure if I've even seen one cheater. I've had some questionable situations for sure, but I don't know if it's just something that happened that I wasn't paying attention to. For instance, maybe that person had a gun that I didn't think that he had, or something like that, or there could be some user error and me not seeing something and just kind of questioning it, which is a big reason why I think, in addition to them adding in the crossplay options, I think that they should also add in kill cams. I think Mav mentioned this in the green room before the show. A big problem with players being able to report other players is there's going to be a lot of instances where players that are just not super knowledgeable about Halo, or may just be at a lower skill level, that encounter a very skillful player, may feel like that person was cheating, and we may see a lot of instances of false reporting. Yeah. So I think like a kill cam would go a long way of allowing people to actually see what happened, to make a better judgment on whether or not that was an actual cheat or not.
I want to say that before you report, because this is going to be a thing, look at the stats after the game. Okay, look at the accuracy, look at the headshot count, look at all these things, and try and determine, okay, like if something seems unreasonably,
well, if he has 35 kills, 1 death, and everything's been headshots, you got a problem.
Well, there's guys that have, like our friend Obi-Wan had a game the other day on his wife's account where he was 37-0. Right? Wow. I know he's not a cheater, you know what I mean? But those players on the other team may have felt like that because he got in a tank the whole time and they couldn't take him down. So they may have been going, oh, he has an infinite health tank. This is bull. You know what I mean? So you're going to run into instances that never feel fair, right? Because you don't understand the situations that you're in, especially if you're a newer player. And it's just the reporting thing is scary, because I see a lot of times when I'm playing with people, like friends and stuff, and they're say, oh, that guy was cheating, or hey, that was bull, that's never happened. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, yeah, that was supposed to happen. I'm sorry, dude, you just died. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that happens all the time. So if they open it up to the reporting is too much, just like, hey, if I died, report it. I think there's going to be a lot of false reports out there.
Well, hopefully not.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that there will probably be a lot of false reports, and hopefully, the 343 team, has tools, that they can use to actually figure out, who's really cheating and who's really not. I mean, of course, there's always going to be players that don't actually cheat that do get, banned. And of course, like, they're probably going to have a workaround for that as well, and a way to submit and try to get unbanned and whatnot. And overall, it's just a terrible situation that we have to deal with this in the first place, because because there's just cheaters that exist. But to also touch on the whole crossplay, even if there wasn't hackers, even if there wasn't cheaters that are playing this game and taking advantage, I still think crossplay is just as needed, because it just for pure accessibility, right? There is in some instances advantages that PC players have with accuracy on a mouse that console players don't necessarily have, right? I mean, there's a lot of debate on who
Yeah.
really has the advantage and all this
Yeah.
different stuff. We could talk about that for days and days and days, but at the end of the day, I think it's important to allow people to choose whether or not they're playing with people that are using a keyboard and mouse, or using a controller, or however it may be, right? But I'm just happy to see that the 343's team is very, very on the ball with this, as they've been on the ball with a lot of other questions and concerns about this beta, about the multiplayer. And I'm just happy to see that, they are currently working on it, and hopefully we get to see a solution sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Still Rain, let's bring you in on the conversation. Obviously,
Sure.
you are a big multiplayer fan. Obviously, you're a big Halo multiplayer fan.
Yeah.
Does the toggle for crossplay need to be something that's a priority?
For me, I always believe in player choice, right? Give the gamer options, because you never know what people are into. To me personally, do I think crossplay is a big deal or whatever the case might be? Hey, I say leave it more open the better. But again, you have to be able to be understanding and to hear everyone's not only complaints but their concerns more so. Leaving it open, I know there's one on one side of the fence, it's like, hey, if as long as you keep it input based, and it's all good. And then the other side, it's like, oh, well, I just want to be able to play with only console people. And I see people recommending, hey, go into your console settings, turning it off, and then you're good to go from there. Only thing about that is, since it's not implemented into the game, you could be limiting your player pool heavily. And being very hard to find games and such, with it not being implemented that way. So do I think it needs to be a focus? Yes. Is it something that I think is going to happen before launch? I don't think so. Just because of, again, like everyone else has kind of said, there is other things that need to be addressed, need to be worked on. And I like at this point, I was having this conversation with someone last night, where we were kind of talking about, hey, why aren't these things in here, and this, that, and the other thing. And I feel like 343 was so focused on nailing the overall gameplay of Halo overall,
Which they have, which they
100%
in spades.
Yes. 100%. That a lot of other things kind of got put on the back burner. Because people were complaining, hey, multiplayer wasn't great on these games and story wasn't great on these games, that now it's like, okay, well, let's sit back and really make sure we hit the nail on the head across the board for story and multiplayer, and then everything else we'll just worry about later on. That's kind of how it's kind of come across to me, but at the same time, you have to give the player options. There's a reason people don't like playing against PC players. There's a reason people don't like playing against console players. Whatever your reasoning is for that, whether it be aim assist, whether it be cheating, that, like, the thing that frustrates me the most is that when people bring in that, oh, it's just because the cheating and everything. And then you see these people who are complaining about the cheating. Like someone posted a video the other day, and when you're running out in the open by yourself and you're getting killed, that's not cheating.
No, you're just a knucklehead.
You're not.
Yes.
Halo is a team-based game.
I feel
Just like
personally
any
attacked
other-
right now, Steel.
You're not. Oh my god! But just like any other PvP game is, if you're not playing with the team, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get smacked around. Unfortunately, it is what it is. When you use that perspective, even like I was trying to touch on in the background myself, there's been plenty of times where there've been Halo, Gears, whatever game that I've been playing, where people have reported me saying, oh, that man's cheating. And it's like, okay, where's the proof? I'm not a cheater. You know what I'm saying? And like Mav was kind of touching on, that's where it becomes kind of important to where we have a system in place to where, I know it used to be kind of in game battles, and this is me giving my try-hard card out there, but when I used to do game battles as such, if we were going to report cheating or people not being fair, we had to provide some kind of backup, some kind of proof that it was actually happening. And that's kind of the best way to do it, with it kind of not being only being implemented on the Xbox side, because on console it's very easy to report somebody. Hey, hit the middle button, go to the player, open their profile up, report them. Why? Boom, good to go. On PC, it's a little bit more complicated. And as I posted, hey, you got to fill out this form, write me a 3-page essay on how they cheated, and then we'll see it. We'll look into it. One of the things that I did want to bring up, though, John Huensek, and hopefully I'm saying his name right. He brought up on Twitter saying he's one of the more key important people on the Halo team and everything. He comes out a lot. He was actually one of the first people I saw when they talked about the progression system and them adding the XP that they added today and everything. He was saying, let's talk about cheating. Unfortunately, cheating is a natural part of supporting a free-to-play PC game, and it's one we anticipated. It'll never go away entirely, but we're prepared and committed to releasing consistent improvements to our game systems and take action on bad actors. That's the key thing. As long as the dev knows, as long as the studio knows that it is a problem, it's going to get worked on. But again, like the same kind of thing that Matt brought up, hey, you can put out all the anti-cheat you want. If somebody wants to cheat, they're going to find a way, especially on PC. So do I agree with you, Boom? Give me the option. Turn that cross-play off. If you only want to play with console players, sure, that definitely limits down that pool of cheaters down to almost nothing at that case. Will there still be people there? Yeah, sure. There's a device called the Cronus that has 4-star reviews that you can just plug into your console, that if you know anything about coding, you can easily get it set up and get it running, and nobody would know the difference. When you have things like that, kind of like what Matt was speaking to, when these things are allowed, because there's nothing regulating it. So when these things are allowed, it's kind of hard to get rid of. And as we move further and further into the future, it's going to become more and more of a problem. We're moving into the age of accessibility, giving people more access than we've ever had before, especially with this whole PC and console thing now. The biggest thing is just making sure, saying, hey, keep speaking up about it, letting people know, just be aware of your gameplay, and try not to falsely report people for cheating. At the end of the day, I think that's really the focus, and hopefully we can move forward from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, J-Mo Money in the chat said that they just announced Aliens Fire Team coming to Xbox Game Pass.
December 14th.
I'm mad because I bought it, but I didn't care because
so did I, Boom. I bought the deluxe with
I'm a huge Aliens nerd, and that game
great game. It's a great game.
Really, really, really good.
Really fun.
So another great multiplayer game coming to Xbox Game Pass. And I would imagine that we're also going to get an announcement shortly. I don't know how shortly, but Mass Effect Trilogy coming to Xbox Game Pass via EA Play. I think that's coming sooner than later. No proof yet, but I just have a feeling. But Boxenberg, let's get your opinion on this. I don't know how much of the multiplayer you're going to play. I'm going to be, like I said, when I'm not for the remainder of this year, potentially into the first quarter of next year, it's going to be Halo all day long. Whether that's multiplayer or single player, I can't wait. My question to you is, do we need, us, the gamers, need the ability to toggle off playing against PC? Is that an important aspect for you?
100%. I had a big party in, I think Pong was in there when we had the beta already, the Halo flight.
Yep.
And we played the entire evening, and Steele was also joining us, and suddenly we were playing, and he was the only one on PC. All the other 11 people were playing on console, and suddenly we were matched against a lot of PC players, and we all started to complain, okay, hey, it's kind of unfair to play against mouse and keyboard. Yeah, we didn't talk about the cheat aspect, but we already talked in the beta about, hey, let us please turn off the option to play against mouse and keyboard.
Right.
Steele switched over to the console then, and suddenly we were 12 console players in the party, and we were better matchmaked. But I play a lot of Halo these days. I love it. The multiplayer is fantastic. But the crossplay thing is something that needs to be turned off. And it's not just because of the cheaters. It's also because it is just unfair and frustrating to play against mouse and keyboard players on PC. So yeah, the option should definitely be there. I get why it's in there, and it's awesome that an option to have crossplay is available, because you want to play co-op, you want to play maybe with someone on PC who doesn't have a console or doesn't have access to the console or whatever. Yeah, options are always great. But yeah, I definitely think it should be, or we should be able to turn it off. And the weird thing is, and here I have to disagree with basically all of the panel, the option is already in the game. So I don't see why they shouldn't be able to just make it available in multiplayer, because it is available in the ranked matches. In ranked matches, when you do ranked, you can turn it off. So they have the net code. They have to only bring it over. That's the one point. And the other thing why I think 343 should be able to do it is simply because they have hundreds of developers, and the guys that are working on addressing the other stuff that the panel brought up are not the same people that do that crossplay thing. Someone who is a data analyst and looks at the data, how do people enjoy the progression system in the battle pass, for instance. This guy cannot, even if you give him hundreds of days, he won't be able to enable or disable crossplay. Yeah, you need the guy who does the netcode for that. And so, yeah, they have big teams. They have a lot of people working on there, and they have to address a couple of issues. That's how it goes with betas. But I think this should be doable first, because it's already available in the ranked matches. So just bring it over to the other matches. And the second thing is, it is really something that can ruin the fun, especially for the new players. And once Halo officially releases, especially with the campaign, people are going to start to play the campaign, and then maybe after they enjoyed the campaign, they just start to give the multiplayer for the first time a try. Halo has that magic that will bring in new players, and that's what Microsoft wants. But when they suddenly come in, and they are probably already a little bit late to the game, and they are already matched against people who know how to play the game, and then on top you have the cheaters, and then you have the mouse and keyboard players, this will ruin a lot of the fun of the experience for especially the newbies or the casual players that are not that well trained in Halo. And so, yeah, I think this should definitely have a priority in there. I don't see why it should take long. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
On Archimedes, too, like one thing I want to make sure that people are aware of, like the in ranked, the solo and duos version, when you're going in by yourself, that's the one that has the toggle. But it's not a toggle to turn off.
It's not crossplay.
It's a toggle
keyboard and mouse or controller.
Mouse and keyboard,
right.
Because
so
you can also play mouse and keyboard on console. Yeah,
but you can also play controller on PC, which I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
So that would still have cheaters with that way as well.
I have a question. So I've went into ranked, and I've played quite a bit of ranked, and like whenever I click on like the little crossplay button, like it opens up and it says crossplay, but there's like actually no option to turn it on, to switch it off, to change anything.
Nope. There's nothing there. It's crossplay is just crossplay. The way they have it set up now is crossplay is its own playlist, and then solo duo, where you can change it to the input base, where it's keyboard and controller, or keyboard and mouse or controller. They're just only two different playlists, which I can agree with Boxburger at this point, to where if it is kind of there, they need to implement on it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's only going to take care of the input.
Right.
They gotta put in the stuff to turn off crossplay to stop cheating, because PC players can use a controller and still have easy access to cheat.
Yeah, that is true. But I don't see a reason why it shouldn't be doable to disable the crossplay, because we know it's running on different netcodes. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to run on Steam. So you simply have to disable that. And that's they have a couple of days, and they have the experts to do that. So definitely make that a priority, because I don't know what else the net code team is supposed to work on, because the net code itself is actually awesome. The game runs very well. I have
it does. It runs
basically
fantastic.
zero issues with the servers or whatnot. So I honestly don't see a reason why it shouldn't be doable.
I mean, now I will say, so when we're speaking on the servers and everything here recently, as of recent, I have started noticing some hitches within the servers. I don't know if it's because of the mass amount of players that are trying to get on Halo at this point, but there has been instances where I've been getting rubber banding, and that's like, I forward my ports. I do everything that I need to do to make sure that I'm ready to go.
I know. It was like a little tiny bit yesterday, yesterday whenever I was playing. It wasn't like super noticeable, but it did happen. Yeah.
Sure.
Did you guys have the game on quick resume? Because I have seen that happening a lot of times when I had the game in quick resume, and simply rebooting the game again fixed the issue. So.
Quick resume is definitely an issue if you're trying to play it, because I get a lot of errors. I always start fresh. Like I back it out of quick resume and I start it right from the beginning.
It's gonna sound so funny. I actually never use quick resume. I always press start and then quit out of the game. Like I'd never use quick resume. And even whenever I was on the Xbox, like I would always press start and quit out of the game. Like I always did that. And it's just habit. So I never even used quick resume.
Quick resume is just the best there.
It
I
really
always get annoyed when the game doesn't support it.
Well, real quick, before I bring in Pong So and then we get everyone out of here, Space Dovikin drops a $5 super chat and says, clearly the OG team isn't there anymore, but BioWare's brand and IPs are legendary. This can be another rare situation, but bigger. I'm sorry that I missed that super chat, Space Dovikin. Definitely appreciate that. That was during the BioWare conversation that we had. We have Lakeith drops a $5 super chat and says this: not all PC players are mouse and keyboard. Xbox gamers that have gaming rigs that can't get an S or an X console and use controllers keep up the good work. No, absolutely. And not everyone uses mouse keyboard. That's I mean, even when I game on PC, and that's very rare, I use a controller. I'm never going to use mouse keyboard. Rain G4 asks a very important question after dropping a $2 super chat, which I don't have the answer for because, folks, I don't drink. He says, what kind of beer does Master Chief drink? Guys, you haven't.
Hopefully German beer, babe.
He drinks a Busch Light. He drinks
He's definitely a Coors Light man. He's 100% a Coors Light man.
No, he doesn't drink anything light. He drinks Coors.
No, he doesn't drink light.
I bet he's a Miller man. He's a Miller man for sure.
I love it. What a conversation. Anyway, Raiden Blade drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, I'm loving Halo. It's fun, but cheating, I haven't come across any. I have completed the everything so far. Yes, the rubber banding I have come across. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think the cheating so much is rampant. To be honest with you, I've come across a couple of times where, like I said, the rocket launcher was a telling thing. I hit the guy straight in his face, and I died, and he didn't, and that's wrong. But anyway, again, not the biggest thing. They're going to figure it out. 343 is on the case. I have a good feeling that they're going to continue doing what we expect them to do, and that is make this multiplayer the best multiplayer out there. But Pong, let's get your opinion on this. What is your opinion on the crossplay situation? Do you feel it's necessary? Because a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. But I actually kind of care. Mm-hmm. And Matt brought up a great point. He brought up the player pool. But I think that this is such a big game that player pool on both sides is going to be massive. So one not having the other, I don't think it's going to be an issue. What are your thoughts?
Well, from a convenience standpoint, I think, yes, they need to have a toggle. I mean, obviously, we can do it at a system level. I think the directions have been put out there by plenty of people, so we can do it at a system level, but it'd be nice to have the option on a game-by-game basis. And I think, obviously, everybody's brought up great points here that just giving the players choice, whether real or imagined, I think you got to have that choice in there to give, the people who don't want to play with PC players or vice versa, because there's some PC players who do think that the aim assist is way too strong. So I think that option needs to be there. And like you said, the player pool is big enough for a game like Halo, especially after launch, being free to play. I think it's not going to affect, finding matches or whatever the case may be, or at least it shouldn't. And if it does, then address that at that point, but give the people the option up front. So yeah, I think from that standpoint, absolutely. I got to kind of laugh at the whole cheating stuff. Cheating's been around as long as time, right?
Yep.
The humans are always going to find a way to get an advantage. There are some people out there who would consider trigger locks cheating because not everybody has them available, right?
Yep.
So there's always going to be this concept of cheating. But I think with Halo specifically, and I have not played by any stretch of the imagination what you guys have. Obviously, I've been enjoying the heck out of Battlefield 2042 too much. And I told everybody that was going to happen. Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So good. But anyways, I think that this conversation's always going to happen. But, I cut my teeth on cheating, going way back to before multiplayer, when we know for a fact that the devs were programming AI to cheat in every single game, right? And we used to scream at our TVs playing Nintendo saying the AI just cheated, the computer just cheated. That's the oldest line in the book. And then all the way up to, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, when it first came out, it became a hacker's haven. At one point, you had a better than 50-50 shot of being in a hacked lobby when you joined a multiplayer game, right? Battlefield's the same. Mav and I were playing and Steel were playing Battlefield 4 before Battlefield 2042 came out. We went back to it again. Mav, we were in that match with that helicopter dude that had over 100 kills and 0 deaths. He was just above us. Just the minute you spawned, he was firing on you. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So that kind of stuff's going to happen. I don't think it's as rampant. I think we have kind of 3 different things going on here. I think that we have people legitimately who have probably been in a match with somebody who is cheating or multiple people who are cheating and feel upset about it. And I think that there's legit concerns for that, because if you don't take care of it, it can become rampant like we've seen in many games in the past. But I think 343 is on it. I think they're working towards it. Obviously, Halo is already bursting onto the esports scene. They're going to have one of the biggest, they're going to have the largest pool for a Halo tournament ever in history already. And the game's not even officially launched yet.
Yes.
Okay?
11 million.
So with the esports scene, obviously, that is a huge thing. You cannot have cheating in esports, right? So 343 is going to be all over this. That's going to trickle down to us everyday gamers as well. So I think that 343 is going to continue to work on it, but they're not going to be able to solve it. It's one of those problems that's going to exist forever. And then I think you've got the category of people from the circus who like to throw gasoline on the fire when anything concerning Halo comes up. They don't actually care, but they're just going to continue to run with the narrative and say that cheating is rampant. And, oh my God, how can you guys play this game? Oh my God, it's so unfair.
Yeah,
that group as well, adding to this. And then, which has been touched on, because we have 3 absolutely amazing Halo players on this panel. We have a 4th who's not here today, who actually played pro in 3-bit at one point in his life, right? Me, as a casual Halo fan, guess what? If I didn't know 3-bit, or if I didn't know these guys here and I was playing against them, there'd be times where I felt like maybe this guy's cheating, right? Just because the skill gap in Halo, which all of these guys can attest to, is so large, right? It's one of those things. You can go back and watch the Halo tournament from last year from all the shows, and you can watch. We had 3-bit, we had Mav, and then Caitlin and myself on a team playing against Seasoned Gaming. So we had 2 amazing Halo players, right? And then 2 good players, right, on our team. But going up against Seasoned Gaming, if you watch that match, it's embarrassing.
Haynes is ridiculous.
Him and his crew are ridiculous.
They could play pro. They could play pro. Yeah,
they could.
Well, 3 of them do.
Yeah. Right. 3 of them do. Right. So, but if you didn't know any better and you were watching that, right, and you didn't know, right, you didn't know what the skill gap was like when it comes to a game like Halo, which is skill based, which on a one-on-one battle, if the better player is going to win 95% of the time in those matches, you would think that one team had some kind of super advantage, possibly cheating, right? So I think new players or casual players like myself, or just people who just jump in but don't take it seriously, right? And they're playing, and all of a sudden you get matched up against some really high-skilled, sweaty players. Guess what? you're going to feel like it's cheating when it's actually not. And I think people addressed it already on the panel here. I think everybody kind of touched on it, that again, if you don't know, you're going to think that there's something wrong. But if you do know, you realize, hey, I'm just not as good. That pure and simple, that's what it is. But you're going to have those people. Now that you're opening it up free to play, you're going to have even more people joining in who may have never experienced Halo and come in and go, whoa, what? There's no way, not understanding the mechanics behind how they've got this first-person shooter set up. And I think that you're going to see those people rush to social media and say, oh my God, cheating's here. Oh my God, they got to fix this. They got to fix this. No, at the end of the day, you just got to get better. You just got to get good. As the saying goes, if you want to play on the same level as some of the people that are in Halo, that's the way it is. And, I realize that, again, that's why it doesn't bother me. And again, going back as far as I do in gaming, I've seen some ridiculous cheating out there. At this point, I don't waste my energy. I just chalk it up. Oh, well, that's on that person. That person is, for whatever reason, they like that experience. At the end of the day, they're ruining the entire game for everybody and for themselves. But it's just one match. Move on. That's it is what it is. But I think 343 has a good perspective on this. I think they understand that obviously opening up a game like this to more and more people, which is exactly what they want to do. They want to keep this going for, supposedly a 10-year plan. Look, they know they're going to have to deal with this. They're going to have to tackle it because, like other people talked about, bringing new people in, you don't want their first experience to be overwhelming. That's why I'm glad they did the bot system.
Right.
I'm glad they have the training system so that people who honestly do want to learn how to get better can get better at this game. And it's not just by going into a match, getting 2 kills and 15 deaths every single time, right? That's not fun for people. People aren't going to stick around for that. So they've given the options out there to help people kind of ease into the Halo experience, and hopefully more will take advantage of that. But at the end of the day, some people are just going to have to learn by trial and error. Hey, I'm just not very good at Halo yet. So I got to put some time into it if I want to get better at it. That's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
But I think 343 is going to do it. They're going to
Hey,
fix it. Yeah.
This people that are playing now that are newer to Halo, they're gonna get good too.
Yeah.
Right?
So if they put the time into it, absolutely,
Yeah.
you do get better as you play.
It's gonna only be harder to jump in, and because the skill level is just going to increase. And in 3 years, the skill level in this game.
But Mav, right now it's delicious. You have to agree. Right now it's absolutely delicious. It's just like all the bad players are just like caviar.
Yeah,
I'm just enjoying every single last bite.
This is the Zemi.
Oh god,
Zemi, this is the same as the old days when Call of Duty would launch, and the day after Christmas you'd go in there for noob city. All the kids hopping on the day after Christmas. It was ridiculous.
It was great.
Those
were glorious days. I miss them.
Well, listen, folks. This has been a great almost 2 hours. I think we hit all 3 topics we wanted to talk about, and everyone had great opinions. I'm just a smidge away from level 33 and Halo.
Hey.
I'm quite enjoying it. I don't think I have 264 games quite like Mav, but I think I have enough to know that this is going to be something I'm going to be playing for years. As an old school Halo 3 player who loved it, what could you say? It was just phenomenal. But let's get to the outros and get everyone the heck on out of here. And obviously, Zemi is racing to go play the new challenges on Halo Infinite. So we'll start first with the cog that keeps this show running. Zemi Games, please, by all means, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, where they can check out ConstantGamer.com and also where they can subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So my YouTube channel is Constant Gamer. I post a bunch of gaming related content on there. So gaming news, theory videos, game reviews. If that's your type of thing, definitely swing by to the Constant Gamer YouTube channel, watch some content. And if you like it, subscribe. Then you guys can also check me out on Twitter. It's at Zemi Games. I post some food pics. I post some gaming news if I see anything interesting, and just typically post what everyone else posts on Twitter. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, at Zemi Games is where to go. And I just want to let everyone know in chat, now you can start talking about pie and cake and all that good stuff. You guys can carry that over.
Chocolate pie.
Oh man, I need to make another one. I haven't made one yet. I tell you what, over Thanksgiving, I ate so much pecan pie and so much sweet potato pie. I didn't need chocolate pie, but now all that pie is gone. So I don't know. I'm thinking it might be time to make another chocolate pie.
I think you might be onto something. But yeah, listen, thanks so much for being here, brother. Definitely can't wait to see these pictures, these sexy pictures of chocolate pie on the socials. Steel Rain, brother, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media. But more importantly, check you guys out on Saturday mornings, Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I think you're going for gold. The next podcast, 19 and a half hours with no bathroom breaks. I don't know how you're going to do it.
Oh man, look, Boom. I always want to thank you for welcoming me on, man. It's always been a pleasure just hanging out with you guys, man. Mav, Zemi,
Pleasure's all ours, brother.
Boxerberger. Y'all are amazing gentlemen, man. This is what community is about. Again, pulling yourself out and giving you that RTS view to really look at those darker places, and just all about being about the community and everything, and potentially reaching those 3 billion gamers that we want to get in contact with, because gaming is a beautiful thing. Gaming is art and should be treated as such. With that being said, you can find me, Steel Rain, that T is a 7, everywhere. If it has a search bar, type it in. You'll more than likely find me, no matter what console, no matter what platform. Hit me up in whatever message system that you would like to hit me up in. Let's have a chat. Let's play some games, man. Here recently, it's all about that Halo, baby. I got 3 days off come next week. The stars seem to line up for me. So Legendary Campaign is definitely going to be my caviar next week. And I'm kind of on the edge of debating whether I want to do a stream for that or not. But with that being said, definitely catch us Saturday, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK time with the Living Split Screen, guys, where we are a non-console-centric platform that give you that live, raw, uncut, authentic, organic energy to get that weekend started for you. We cover everything that's going on in the gaming industry, man. Again, like I said, gaming is art, should be treated as such. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe out there.
Thank you so much, brother. And Mav, talk about what you got going on. You're back on the saddle. You got a bunch of shows coming up, and I want you to talk about it. But more importantly, where could people subscribe to your YouTube channel to check out all these shows? And where could people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Twitter, Fun Speculation. YouTube, Fun Speculation. Had a lot of fun today, Boom. And like you said earlier in the show, tomorrow is Fun Pop, and we're going to have a blast talking about Spider-Man. I finally got to see Venom, so we're going to kind of chime in on that, as well as Hawkeye.
Oh, so good so far, dude.
Yes. 100%, man. So we're going to have a lot of fun on Fun Pop tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Thursdays, check out PM and the PM. We're back this week again with that, where me and Pong Soul will deep dive on something. We're going to find out what that is. Whatever Pong comes up with, we're going to deep dive on it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Fridays, the show that started our channel, Xbox Ultimate Podcast with the Magnificent Seven, the amazing family. We're going to have a blast. We got a lot of Halo hype with the campaign coming around the corner. We're going to talk about multiplayer stuff. We got talk about Game Awards. We're going to have a lot of fun. So that's on Friday, and then Saturday FSPs is our newest show, and we're gonna have a blast with that one as well, with lots of awesome topics. So check out Fun Speculation on YouTube, Fun Speculation on Twitter. Like Steel, I am going to. I've been pondering how I'm going to stream the Halo Infinite campaign, because I do game streams as well, and I think I've come to the conclusion I'm going to just play the game with the screen. I'm gonna turn off my camera.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm not see the chat. I'm just gonna play the game, stream it, so that people can see the experience that I'm having. Right. So that's what I think my plan is. It's still, that would be my suggestion, man, because I don't want no distractions.
I want to. That's something I want to put the headphones on. I want to like lower the lights, get the get the nice glow behind the TV going. Just be focusing on the story. We've been waiting for. I think, I mean, again, I'm only speaking for myself. I know that there are some people that quite enjoyed Halo 5. I'm not one of them. I enjoyed 4, but it's been a while since I was so excited for a Halo campaign. And I'm not happy people can't play co-op. I feel bad for people that actually want to play it. But for me, I really want to just sit back, no cameras, no mics, no nothing, but my headset, the TV, and learning what and taking this next Master Chief story to the next level.
Yeah, the launch trailer dropped at the start of our show.
Ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Ridiculous. Wow. Goosebumps inducing. And again, we didn't talk about it. I'm probably going to go touch on it on Friday's Breakfast at Boom. Man, have their marketing been knocking it out of the park. These shorts that they've been putting out on YouTube have been powerful. Like, some even made me cry, like straight up teared, bro. Like, what? So I'm very happy. Their marketing has knocked it out of the park. And again, the hype level for Halo is bananas. Boxenberger, let's get you out there. Tell everyone, brother, where they can support your growing YouTube channel. Where could they check out your weekly videos? And more importantly, where could people strike up a conversation on social media?
Yeah, first of all, Boom, thanks for having me on the show. You know, it's always a highlight of my week to be here on the Xbox Factor podcast. Yeah, along, of course, with Mav, Sammy, Pong, and Steel. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I love the energy, the passion we all bring here to the table. That makes it a highlight for me. So thanks for having me. And yeah, people can find me basically everywhere under Boxenberger. Of course, on YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network. I'm always up for discussion all around the gaming industry. So just hit me up and let's talk games. And I see you guys the next week.
Nice. And Pong Soul, talk about what you guys are going to be doing this Saturday and many Saturdays to come. Obviously, Living Split Screen has exploded on the scene. Love there. I'm always creeping in the background, it's a great time, and you just never know how much of Living Split Screen you're going to get. Could be 1 hour, could be 2, could be 19 and 1/3. I don't know. But listen, talk about it, brother. And where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Yeah, look, if we're going to go 19 and a half hours, we're going to need Master Chief's suit to recycle our bodily fluids, okay? Because that ain't happening, okay? Look, great show, brothers, awesome. Steel, man, awesome, obviously, to have you here, brother, and share the podcast with you, the panel with you. Chat, you guys were absolutely amazing. Great discussions in there. Big discussions about a lot of the topics we had going on, which I always love to see. An engaged chat means that we are doing our job and bringing good topics to the table. So thank you all for being here. Nothing but love and respect for each and every one of you in there all the time. So, but otherwise, find me Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter. You know the drill there. Otherwise, coming up on Thursday, like Mav said, PM in the PM is back. We took a week off, but we are back. Pong and Mav, we'll see what we're going to be discussing. Mav likes to put it on me and have me pick the topics, so we'll see what's coming up. But we got some good stuff, even though it's light news. This is the best time of the year. Lots of fun stuff to be able to go over. So check us out over on Fun Speculations channel, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Mav, again, Fun Speculations channel Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, like Mav said. We're going to have a fun time no matter what is going on, but obviously a lot of Halo talk this week and Game Awards talk. I am sure we're going to get down with that. And then Saturday mornings, that's right, Living Split Screen. My hype man, Steel, already did a great job with it. Come check us out. We just passed 400 subs over Thanksgiving week, on our way to 1,000. Again, we don't want people that just to sub. So please check out our content. If you like what Steel and I do there, bring in the morning energies on Saturday, talking about wide range of topics, man, going on rants, telling people to get help, whatever we do there. If that is something that you like, then please go ahead and sub and come join us Saturday mornings if you can. It's just a great time. Him and I look forward to it every week. It's what gets us going for the weekend. So come check us out. Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Be there. Saturday night, the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam. He took a week off last week. Last week was a weird week. I only had one show because I didn't do the Xbox Factor show, but I'm back this week. Full time, baby. Let's go. Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. We got Centurion, we got Fuzzy, myself. PTK always has great guests as well. We end your Saturday night right, so just have us on in the background while you guys are playing Halo or whatever else you may be enjoying. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. That now changed due to Arizona. So be there for the Shop Podcast. Otherwise, it is the golden age of gaming. If you don't understand this, I can't help you with that. You got to just look at how much is dropping. We got more games in Game Pass yesterday. Again, I know it's Halo all the time for a lot of people out here. For some of us who are grazers, man, this is a field day right now with everything, including Halo. So enjoy it. Play what you love what you play. I'm going to talk to you real soon.
Yeah, well, listen, folks, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the super chats that come in that help support the channel in our giveaways. And like I said last night, there's a big one coming up, Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. More information on that will be doled out as we get closer to the holiday. I will be recording tomorrow's X-Vlog episode number 4, a new format. You're going to notice there's going to be less, like me stuttering. I didn't like the last episode at all. I'm going to be honest with you. I shot from the hip, but I didn't like the way it came out. So I did write a script. There is a new background. There is a new intro and outro, which I will play for you right now. And yeah, that'll be going live. I want to drop it by midday. I don't know if I can get it out in time because obviously I want to upload it in 4K. But that'll be dropping tomorrow, probably by mid-afternoon. But folks, Dinero Primero is the one that did this opening. Check it out, and we'll get everyone out of here. That man's talent is ridiculous. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. If you enjoyed the show, please consider hitting the like button. If you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the podcast. It would be greatly appreciated if you help this channel cross the 10K. We are just under 800, just above 800 away from 10K. And I don't think we're going to hit it this year, and that's fine. But the closer we get, would be greatly appreciated. And if you are new, consider subscribing. Take care, everyone. And I'm going to close out the show with something that is important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. Also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules. And I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.